What is good, guys? It's Ronald Kabang, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com. This is Let's Cap. Got my guy Munaf with me as Joey as well. I think Jay said he was gonna pop in, but we'll see. He has another show popping off in about 30 minutes. So if he doesn't pop in, that's fine. Oh, what? There he is.
Another one.
What up, Jay?
What up, my guy?
So
Sorry, man.
yeah, we just did the show with Jay earlier. I was on his show earlier. And he's coming on to do the same here. I know he only got one official play, or maybe two. I think first, yeah. So we'll probably
Same
go
game.
into that first. But this week has been going pretty well, guys. I think in the NBA we're starting to see a lot of things a little bit clearer. And like what Jay was saying after the show earlier, we're starting to see the teams for who they actually are. For the most part, a lot of the data is coming in and showing who are the top tier teams and who aren't. Like basically who the fakes are and who's real. So hopefully you guys are doing well in the NBA as well. How's your week going?
Not too bad. Player props have been really good to me so far this week. Had a pretty good night. I know we talked about the Knicks team totals yesterday in the first quarter and first half. First quarter got there pretty easy. It was a little bit of sweat in that second quarter, for the Knicks, but it eventually got there for us. We also took the Grizzlies. I took the Grizzlies yesterday. That was pretty easy. That was pretty much over after the first quarter. So yeah, like you said, hopefully we can continue that into the Thursday night games here.
Yeah, how about you, Joey?
Yeah, it was good. I just took the Suns yesterday. Pretty low scoring game, boring game, but down to the wire. So
yeah. 1-0 is always a good thing. What's up, Jay? I know you came in and popped in and just went 3-0 real quick. Hopefully we go undefeated again here as you come in to the show one more time. So let's just get straight into that first game here, because I know you got that show coming up soon. Celtics -3, totals around 231.5 the last time I saw it. I think a lot of us were looking towards the Celtics team. Jay, I know you got to cut out early, so let's start with you here. What are some of your looks in this one?
Well, first off, I want to say what's up with you, Munaf. Sorry if I said your name.
No, you're perfect, man.
Joey as well. I've never done a show with you guys, so what's up, guys? Nice to meet you guys. But yeah, for me here, man, got to look towards the Celtics here early, guys. Looking for a bounce back Jay spot here, coming off arguably their worst game of the season in this one. I'm talking about you gave the Thunder 122 points, man, at the end of the third quarter. What the hell are we doing here, man? 150 points with no SJ. I know that the coach is kind of sort of losing the team or losing his voice with the team, but there could be something more long term. I think for this game, this is all on the players right here. You got to get amongst yourselves, talk amongst yourselves, and especially with Tatum and Luka being the MVP front runners, this game being on national TV, you got to come in here and ball out, man. So give me the Celtics in this one early. That's the only way I can look, but I do think they cashed the trifecta spot. Celtics first quarter for me -1 and first half -1.5. I definitely believe those go 2-0.
Yeah, I think one thing that we were talking about yesterday is sometimes the trends don't line up with the motivation with the players and the teams, especially specifically like the Hawks game and the Suns, right? You're looking at the Suns on the road and how they've been struggling, and you take them, and it's not the trends. It's a balance of the trends plus the motivation plus the eye test and everything. So this is one of those plays that I feel like is like that. A lot of people are probably thinking that the Mavs should take this one, but I think I agree with you. A lot of things that we're pointing towards that first half for me as well. How about you guys, Joey and Munaf? Did you guys have a look on this one?
Is it an overreaction to say that this game would tell us a lot about Boston? How they come?
I don't think so. I think it would. I think it definitely would, especially the way that they played in the most previous game against the tier, the level of the opponent as well. It is definitely something that they have to come out in this situation regardless of who they're playing. Not even if it wasn't the Mavs, it could have been anyone else, but they got to come out after that game with some urgency. And I was looking at right before the show the impact of Robert Williams. Since he came back, they really haven't been playing well at all. So there's going to be a point where when he starts to transition back into that starting lineup, that things have to start clicking for them. They peaked early in the season. They're gonna have this little valley, and then they're gonna have to peak again. And I think this would be that time where they got to show up. That's the way that I think about it. Munaf, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I know you and I were talking offline before we got on here, but I know Chris also mentioned that Jaylen Brown after the game came out and said, "Hey, and I'm paraphrasing it, that we kind of got to look in the mirror and bring the effort of the next game here, right?" And it's not a huge travel situation when you're going from OKC to Boston here. I know they had a day off yesterday. Sorry, from OKC to Dallas. You really convinced me, RC, to get on the Boston side here first half, in your full game here. But what kind of really stuck out to me against Eastern Conference opponents so far this season, Dallas is 3-11-2 against the spread. For whatever reason, they're struggling against Eastern Conference opponents. So, and I think the one thing that they had the matchup earlier this season in Boston, where Boston did win that game by double digits. I know Luka still went off for 42. I think they got 26 from Christian Wood in that game as well, but they really didn't get anything from anybody else. And Boston did knock down 17 of 34 3-point shots in that game. I'm expecting them to come out and shoot better here tonight. And I think the one thing that kind of gives me confidence in taking the Boston Celtics here tonight is that I do have different bodies to throw at Luka, whether it's Marcus Smart, whether it's Jaylen Brown, whether it's Jason Tatum. It's hard to slow a guy like Luka down because of the way he's been playing over the last 2 weeks here, but you got to do your best. I think I'm going to get there with you guys on the Boston first quarter. I know you had some queries there, RC, about the first quarter, first half, and I think I'm going to go full game as well here. So for me, I'm going to go with Boston here with you guys.
We call it a trifecta spot.
Trifecta spot. Yeah. So this is a couple of situations that I brought up on Jay's show too. So I talked about the Celtics following a game where they lost by 20 or more points. They played the Lakers in that game, and they won by only 4 points. They pushed on the spread there. I think this one was, if I remember correctly, the line opened up at a -3.5. I think I was on this game and I ended up pushing because I got the bad line. But if you look at it a little bit closer, what we're looking at is that first quarter and the first half. So you can see that gap, that 13-point gap in that first quarter versus the Lakers. And then they ended up winning that first half by 15 points. The other way that I was looking at, and you can see that's active here, obviously against that Thunder, when they lost to the Thunder team. But another way that I looked at it is when they gave up a large amount of points. So we could say they gave up 130 or more. And another situation was when against the Wizards. So this is a game following a game that they gave up 130 or more. And you see that big split here in that first quarter. Once again, 34-15. They did lose that second quarter, but overall they still covered the first half. They were up by 7 as 9.5-point favorites here. And then another situation here on the now we start to look towards the Mavericks side, right? And I know some of these look like small sample sizes, but at the same time, we're looking at similar situations, right? So we look at the Mavs here, and they're not home dogs often. And when we look at the situation when they were a home dog here, you can see that there's that gap here as well. The first half they're down in this spot, and you can see that the line here says they're only like small dogs, but they're down by a point and a half or something, whatever that difference is in those situations. So it seems to me that in this spot here, the Celtics should be able to take care of business in that sense. And then you can also tell in those situations where the Celtics gave up 130 or they lost by 20 or more points, that those are instances where they showed a sense of urgency coming into that first quarter off the bat. And even if they did lose the second quarter, like in the second situation, they still covered the first half because of how strong they started that first quarter. So that's the reason why I do like that, having the Celtics here in the first half in that situation. It's only a point or a point and a half, and everything that I looked at so far points in that direction that they should be up by at least 2 points. So that's the way that I could go. Another thing too, one thing that we didn't mention, Jay, on your show is the perimeter defense that they're missing on the Dallas side with Finney Smith. He's actually one of the better defenders in the league. And he's not going to be there. And I think that's going to be a big reason for Tatum and Brown to be successful tonight.
Yeah, Ronald, I did mention it on the show.
You did?
They're going to miss Finney Smith tonight on either Jaylen Brown or he was going to be on Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown literally the whole time he's out there. So they still have Reggie Bullock, but having Bullock out there hurts their offense, though. So that's why they started to bring him off the bench. He can play really good defense, but when he's not knocking down threes, he's kind of pointless out there on the offense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they don't really have a ton of ball handlers. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. and then Dinwiddie. Then other than that, that's basically it. They're missing Josh Green, his defense and tenacity off the bench as well. So
Yeah.
And we got the one thing that we didn't talk about on the show is the people that the Mavs have been beating. I'm talking about very lackluster opponents. So they're on a 7-game win streak, but it's not really respectable. And I can't say that it's not respectable, but when you beat the Rockets, 3 times? Come on, man. They played the Rockets 3 times in there. They beat the Spurs by 1. So they just beat the Spurs by 1. They had to come back from down 20 to the Rockets. This team is teetering on a loss. I fully believe that the Celtics come out here and cash the trifecta spot.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about the quality of wins there in that win streak. So, yeah, really the only even close to quality opponent is the Wolves, right? Between that 7-game win streak, because Lakers were, I think they were out. Oh, that was on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
is that the day that AD got hurt?
They had to come. I'm not sure. I know they had to come back in that game, though. They were they were down and they had to score 50 points in the third quarter to win that one. But you can argue that the Knicks game was a good one as well. I know that Brunson was out. They had to come back from down in that one too, man. And they were down in the first quarter, first half. Man, this Mavs team is teetering on a loss, man. I think they get smacked up here tonight on TNT.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. That's a good point. All right. Well, do you guys have any other notes to add to this one? Did you guys play any props, Munaf or Joey?
Yeah, I did take Christian Wood over 18.5 points here. I think he's been inserted into the starting lineup since that Cavs game back on December 17th. And you kind of just look at his numbers. I think it's been 5 straight games where he's gone over this projection. And if the game plan tonight for the Boston Celtics is maybe to throw a double team at Luka and try to see if somebody else can beat him, I think that's going to open up the opportunity for Christian Wood. He's also been getting an uptick in minutes as well. Last 5 games, he's up to about 31.3 minutes per game, averaging 23.2 points. In that span. And like I mentioned, he's gone over 18.5 points in 5 straight games, where 3 of those games he had 20 or more. Sorry, 4 of those 5 games, 20 or more points for the Dallas Mavericks. And then in that previous matchup, he had 34 minutes against the Boston Celtics, where he dropped 26 and 12 against the Boston Celtics. So looking at that, and then also Christian Wood blocks. I think that, like I mentioned, being in that starting lineup, he's had, I think, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the last 9 games, he's had 2 or more blocks. I see over 1.5 at plus 185 here tonight.
Does that correlate when he started? He first started going into the starting lineup?
Yeah, and that's been since, I believe, that Cavs game, like I mentioned, back on December 17th, where he's had 2 or more blocks. And
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a nice
I like
price.
That. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, spicy.
I have to ride with you on that, baby.
All right, so I think we did pretty good on that game. We're pretty aligned on the Celtics there. That's a good prop there.
Can you hear me?
Wood. What was that?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say before I cut out, what Jay had mentioned too. You prefer it to be on a back-to-back, but kind of the same angle as to why I took the Suns yesterday is because the Cavs had to come all the way back from down 19 or 20. The Mavericks did the same thing. I know they've had a couple of days off, but maybe that still wears on you as a team. And then you pair that with how Boston's got to come out here with a sense of urgency after giving up 151 to the Thunder. It screams Boston. Give me Boston in all ways.
Yeah. So it does look like they were down double digits at half to the Rockets. Hey, you're right. They had to climb back. That's a good point too as well. Those are little things that you look at that's like beyond just the box score, right? You got to see the game flow and all that stuff. So that's definitely a good point there. All right, let's go into the Grizzlies Magic one up next. Did any of you guys have a look on this game? Jay, just go ahead and stop me whenever you got to take off. But we're going to go into the next one here. Grizzlies and Magic here. I already took the Magic here. I just want to see what you guys think about it. But for the most part, a lot of things are just pointing to the Magic just because of the Grizzlies on the road here, especially following a road win. It's something that they haven't been performing well in. Did you guys have a look in this game at all?
I had some player props, but if you want to talk about side and total first before we get to the props.
Sure. Did Joey, did you have anything on the side?
I didn't play this one.
How about you, Jay?
I look towards I agree with your Magic play here, especially without them having Brown, not having Bane, and having Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark is actually a huge piece for them off the bench as well. It gives a lot of energy, rebounding. He can block some shots as well. And obviously, you're going to miss the 3-point shooting with Bane. But I don't have a play on this game, but I would lean towards the Magic at the house. I think the Magic are undervalued in the market. We saw them win 7 straight games, right? Then they had lost 3 straight. Then everybody got off of them. They had 4 days of rest as well before yesterday. So I think they they have a little bit of a rest advantage here. And I don't want the Grizzlies on the road here, 6-13 against the spread, my guys. So I could only look towards the Magic here, and I definitely think they have some size down low that can maybe make it a little bit difficult for the points won't be so easy in the paint, guys. I do have to run. I like doing the show with you guys, but I got to do another one, my guys.
Yes, sir. Yeah, appreciate you just popping in and dropping your official. I'll recap your official at the end. But definitely, anytime you want to come on, Jay, you're always welcome here. Good luck with your show, man.
Appreciate you, my brother. You guys always welcome on our show as well, Ronald. You already know how we rock. Munaf,
Yes,
Joey as well, man. Hit me up, my guys. You're always welcome to come on the show.
Hey, Jay, peep your DM when you get the chance.
Okay, bet. Got you.
Got
you.
you. Appreciate
you,
man. Bro.
Take care.
Yeah.
Peace. All right, so I'm gonna hop into why I like the Magic here. So I looked at first. One of the things that I looked at was Grizzlies on the second leg of back-to-back games, right? So they're on no rest. They are 3-1 straight up, 3-1 ATS. But if you look at it a little bit further, they're actually struggling on the offensive side of the ball. They're actually 4-0 to the under their team total. So offensively, they're not doing well here. And then the other part is these wins were at home. And one of the big factors is their home road split, right? So if we say that they're not rested and they're on the road, they ended up losing that game to the Mavericks by a huge margin there. I can't remember if maybe they were shorthanded. I'm not sure.
Don't look like
well, they were just missing
Dylan Brooks.
That's pretty much it. So for the most part, obviously Triple J, but for the most part, I mean, that's a huge loss right there. So it's another situation that's very similar, I think, in my opinion. Here, second of back-to-back and on the road. Obviously, the Mavericks were rested, the Magic are not. But I don't think, for me, I think a lot of players are coming back for the Magic here. So some of these guys will be actually rested for the most part. I mean, Wagner is going to be rested. Suggs, if he comes in, he's coming off an injury, but at the same time, he's also going to be rested as well. And then the other thing to look at here is the Grizzlies as road favorites. And then they're coming, so they're 9-6 straight up, 6-8-1 ATS. But if you say that they're playing the second road game in a row, or at least the second road game in a row, so there's travel in between, they go into this mode where they struggle. 2-5 straight up, 1-6 ATS, 6-1 to the under. Again, they're really struggling on the offensive side of the ball. 5-2 to the under their team total for the most part. And some of these teams you could see, obviously there's some of these teams are top tier, and obviously Magic would probably be the worst team out of all of these. But for the most part, they're not scoring well, right? They're still struggling offensively. And then if you go a little bit further into that, if they won that previous game, my bad. If they won that previous game, it goes into 0-3 straight up, 0-3 ATS. So they're not even winning these games for the most part after that situation. And then if you just look from a higher level, you go Grizzlies on the road. They're averaging 113.5, allowing 114.9. At home, they're scoring 118.4. They're only allowing 106.8. So their offense is better at home, and their defense is better at home, and they struggle on both sides on the road. If that continues here, the Magic should be able to take care of business. If we look at the Magic side and we just say home dog, this is a spot that they cover. Home dogs, 12-4 ATS, 9-7 straight up in some of those situations as well. And if you look at the second of back-to-back, hold on, sorry. My notes are off. Dogs. Okay, my bad. So I take out the home. So they just dogs and they're on the second back-to-back. They haven't won the game, but they are 4-1 against the spread.
Yeah.
4-1 to the over. So their offense is doing well. So a lot of things are just, to me, are pointing in that direction. There's another situation that I was looking at as well. If they're coming off of a win, they come back and perform well. 10-2-1 ATS, 7-6 straight up. They follow up good performances with another good performance. And if you include that the opponent is a winning record, three and one straight up, 4-0 ATS, and you can see two of these outright wins were against the Celtics when they're double-digit dogs. So that's the only way that I could look is towards the Magic in this one. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that, but I mean it's ugly, but that's the way that I'm gonna go here.
You might have just talked me on with that. And you look at those Celtics games; they weren't even at home, where you got that 12-4 home dog record to also back it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
seeing all these numbers performing against the spread, it seems like they get up for these games. I think they'll definitely get up for. I think a lot of teams want to get up versus Memphis just because of the attitude that they play with.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
want to come out and compete. I might get with you on that. The little Magic.
Yeah. The other thing too, this is the second game on the road. Then they go back home to face the Jazz. Obviously, the Magic, they're a non-conference opponent. The Jazz, I don't know how important they are to the Grizzlies, but it is important that they are a conference team. They want to make sure that they take care of business there. So I wouldn't say it's too much of a look ahead, but at the same time, it might be just because of how important the conference non-conference split is. With that said, I know you got a prop on this one. Well, you can go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be chalky. It's pretty simple. I'm taking John Morant here tonight. I got at 27.5. He just got adjusted by 1 point at 28.5 right now. And I think I really like it since Desmond Bane is not going to be playing here tonight for the Memphis Grizzlies. You kind of take a look at Morant's numbers without John Morant. John Morant's number without Desmond Bane so far this season. He's averaging 26 points, but over the last two games without Desmond Bane in the lineup, I think both of those games were games where they sat him for injury management. He's dropped 35 points in each of those two games. The one was in Denver back on December 20th, and then on New Year's Day against the Sacramento Kings, he also dropped a 35 piece there. So I know Triple J is in the lineup here tonight, but I think that more of the scoring responsibility is going to have to fall on John Morant here tonight. He did have 23 through three quarters yesterday against Charlotte Hornets. I know Hornets are a very porous defense, but I just think that responsibility is going to be on John Morant here tonight. I would probably ladder this up to 35 if you can.
35. I'm going to try and pull up that table that Austin Wang hooked up for us for John Morant here. And then we'll take Desmond Bane out. Does he have a D in the end? Forgot.
Yeah, Desmond. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me zoom out a little bit. So this was early in the season. Later in the season, towards the bottom here. Wait, why is it adding? Okay, hold on. Yeah, I didn't realize he was out for that many games. For the most part, what was the number? The original number.
The original number was 27.5, but it just got adjusted by 1 point with the news of Bane and Clark being out. So right now it's at 28.5.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the last two, you're right. Yeah, 35 and 35. Damn, that's pretty good. So current form, when Bane is out, he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I also think you got to look at Steven Adams' rebounds. I mean, if you just kind of go through his game log, what he's been able to do over these past 5 games, I mean, he's just been an animal on the offensive glass. And I know the Magic have the link, but they're not doing a very good job of keeping opposing centers off the glass. So,
yeah. No, that makes sense.
At 12.5, I would maybe, if your book allows you to ladder it up. I know it's at minus 140 right now.
Yeah.
The last 4 games for Steven Adams, 15 rebounds, 23, 21, and 17.
Damn. Yeah, that's a good look too. I need to get into props more. I was showing you earlier about Edge House. I was trying to figure out how to use it. I need to use it more and get into props because some of the things that you guys say just makes it sound so easy. It's just kind of crazy. Yeah. All right, well, I think that is it for that game. Unless you guys, do you have any other notes, Joey? Or Munaf? No? Okay.
No.
Let's get into the next one here. Jazz and the Rockets. I don't really like this game, but I don't know. Do you guys like this game at all?
I like this one.
You like this one? All right, let's get into it, Joey. Yeah. What do you got?
I'll have something that we'll see if you can search it on SDQL. But
yeah, let's try.
Before I even say that, you look at the Jazz and you look at their last 5 games. And shout out to KC. I don't know if she's in here, but it seems like the Jazz are almost contagious when it comes to these wire-to-wire games, 1 bucket spreads at the end. Yeah. They're on a 5-game losing streak right now. They lost by 2 to the Kings. They lost by 3 to Miami. They lost by 1 to the Kings. They lost by 5 to the Warriors and 4 to the Spurs. They're playing really tight games. And now they're going over into Houston, where Houston seems to turn up at the house, especially as a home dog. You got them on a 5-game losing streak as well. I was actually curious if you're able to search if 2 teams are on 5-game losing streaks. But you've got the Jazz playing these tight games where they haven't beaten a team by more than 7, which I believe that's where the line got steamed to a couple times already. I could only look at the Houston Rockets here today, especially at home. And if you've been laying points with the Utah Jazz this season, you're not making a lot of money. So I can only look at Houston. I was curious to see what pulls up if you've got 2 teams on 5-game losing streaks, if that's even possible.
Man, we were just talking about this with Ski earlier. I hate these shortcuts. Hold on.
I mean, it's cool if not. I mean, just watching basketball, knowing you not to lay points with Utah, seeing Houston at home. I mean, especially Houston first half for any first half bettors. I think that might even be a stronger look.
If we look at teams that are both on a 3-game losing streak, the road favorite covers. So let's just add a couple more. You said 5 games? Oh, yeah, they are both.
Because they're both on 5 games.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do 5 and where the spread is showing strength to somebody.
Someone tell me if there's a shortcut because I hate doing this. I tried to do it earlier, but it didn't line up with what Ski was doing.
I didn't mean to make you work like this.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It looks like it. I mean, not a huge sample size, but towards the under, for the most part. Yeah, not a significant sample size. If you look at more recent years, it seems like it's a fade spot, and it would be towards the Rockets. I swear. Hey, Munaf, do you remember what Ski said? What his trend was?
Oh man, I don't.
I know what it is. Okay, hold on. It's road favorite and 4 straight losses. It must have been something. Oh, that there. Okay, so road favorite on 4 straight losses. It points towards the Jazz team.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
It shows like something like 27-13 to where
I think there's another parameter that he added. I just don't remember what it was.
Was it like on no rest?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Opponent no rest. 27-13-1, 67.5% ATS. That's the whole history of the database. And then was it 6 straight covers dating back to last season?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good look. Were you gonna be on the Jazz, Joey, or what?
No, so that's interesting to see that angle that Ski had provided. The only way that I could look in this game would be Houston. I don't think I can lay that much with Utah.
I agree with you. That's
reason.
I definitely agree with you here. I think a lot of the things that you look at as far as being on the road or being as favorites, the Jazz just have not been doing well at all, for the most part. And the Rockets, I know they're on a bad streak. They lost 10 of the last 11, but for the most part, if you're just looking at the line, looking at the teams, it just says not to take the Jazz. It doesn't say take Houston, but it says not to take the Jazz, in my opinion. Anything to add to that, Munaf, or?
No, yeah, for me, it's probably Rockets or pass as well. Rockets typically do get up at home. I mean, just look at the ATS numbers for the season. I believe they're 9-7-2 at home against the spread, but 9-5-2 against the spread as home underdogs. And again, I don't want to lay points with the Utah Jazz as road favorites either. They're 1-4 against the spread as road favorites.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at the 2 matchups earlier this season between these 2 teams, I mean, they were pretty close. I know it came down to the wire. I think one game the Rockets won by 6, and I think the other game the Jazz won by 8. So there hasn't been.
What do you think about Rockets' first half in that situation?
I was just about to say when I was talking about it, I said that might even be a stronger look. And shout out to our guy Wham. I got a feeling I know what one of Wham's plays will be today, and I think he's gonna ride with that Houston first half. I think that might be an even stronger look right there.
because right when Munaf said home dog, I pulled that up real quick, and it looks like from an average standpoint in a 16-game sample size, they're actually up at half for the most part, and then they take a dive in the second half.
Yep.
So that's a good point. That's a good point. A good thing you brought that up, Munaf. Maybe we could find a way. I mean, I don't know if I want to force it, but I mean,
12-6 against the spread in the first half at home this season.
Who is?
Rockets.
12-6?
Yeah, against the spread first half.
How about Jazz on the road?
Let's see. Jazz on the road are where's Utah? 9-11.
9-11. So if we look at Jazz on the road, their average margin is minus 1.6, and we say road favorite. Losing that second quarter, that's a.
If you want to filter it down to last 10 games, they're 2-7-1 against the spread on the road in the first half. The Utah Jazz.
So if you see Utah land points, you can only look the other way.
Should be a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I might look into that first half a little bit more with the Rockets, because even in this spot here, road favorites, they're down for the most part in that first half.
Yeah.
Rockets first half.
G5 put something in the chat, RC, if you see. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I tried that. G5, I did try that. It doesn't line up exactly if you do. So if you do the P and all that, like the number of times, for some reason it doesn't line up with Streak right now. So I don't know if it has to do with the syntax with Killer Sports, but I'll look into that a little bit further. Because I don't like doing the P, all that stuff. It's kind of weird. But I'll look into that a little bit more. Man, that's a good point. Oh, hey, you know what we were looking at, Munaf, was Clarkson threes.
Yeah.
Clarkson threes at 2.5. He's hit that in 8 of the last 10, and then the Rockets allow the most threes per game in the league. So some way to find threes with the Jazz. I don't know if we want to do Clarkson or Markkanen or what. But are you still thinking about that one, or are you kind of off of it?
Yeah, I think you got to ride the hot hand with Clarkson. He's getting the minutes too, right?
Yeah.
He's what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like you mentioned, 8 out of the last 9 games, at least 3 3-pointers by him. I know he hasn't done it against the Rockets this season, but I mean his shooting, the volume is there for him for sure. Yeah. And like you mentioned, the Rockets are not very good at defending the 3-point line. They're worse down there with Minnesota, with Chicago. So I can't talk you off of it. He did have 5. I'm sorry. He did go 5 of 10 against the Rockets back on October 26th.
Yeah, I think I might go with that one. 2.5 threes, like you said, volume is there. He's been hitting it. So yeah, I can only look towards Clarkson in that one. What was that?
I said that feels low. 2.5.
It does feel low. That's why I'm kind of scared. That's the only reason. That's why I'm scared. But we'll see if we get. I don't know if I'll get there, but that's the way that I was looking at it, from a prop perspective. All right, one last game here. Clippers and Nuggets. Did you have anything on this one, Joey?
I do not. I like the Clippers, but we'll talk about it first. I feel.
Yeah. How about you, Mina?
Yeah, I was leaning towards the Clippers here as well. Obviously, the big question mark is Paul George here tonight. He is officially questionable on the injury report with a right hamstring soreness. So, hopefully, I think 5 is kind of a big number here for when you get outside of the number of 3, 3.5, 4 here. Yeah. I just like the depth here of the Clippers against this team. Against the Denver Nuggets. I know Aaron Gordon has been playing well, but I'm not sure that they'll be able to contain both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in this game. I have a prop for this game later, but we could go through the side and total first.
Yeah. So first, the way that I was looking at this one, I talked about it on Jay's show as well, was the Clippers team total over. And here's some of the reasons why. So I looked at the Nuggets. They're going from road to home. But in general, when they do, because I look at them because of the altitude, right? From road to home to road, whenever it's not the same. So when I did that, they're 6-14 ATS. The main focus for me was their team total, allowing the opponents to go over their team total in 15 out of those 20 games for the most part. So that's the way that I was looking, is actually towards the Clippers team total over. And if we look at the Clippers side, so that this points towards the Nuggets allowing team totals to go over. If we go to the Clippers side and they go to just Clippers on the road in general, right? They're 13-7 to the over. And in most recent games, especially as they've gotten healthier, right? We look at this in what was 6 of the last 7 games, they've gone over their team total, or even longer if you take that. There, a lot of team totals going over in more recent games, just because they've been getting a lot healthier for the most part. And there's another situation here. Road dogs. Okay. So the road dog. 6-2 to the over. Team total 6-2 to the over as well. And then they went under in these 2 games by a small margin. So that's the way that I would look in this game. I was talking to Jay about it after the show. I was like, I like the Clippers team total over the Clippers spread, just because I don't know if the Clippers can stop the Nuggets offense. That's the problem, right? But if the Nuggets are struggling defensively in this spot situationally, then at least I could see the Clippers putting up a good amount of points. So just focusing in on what I think the Clippers can do, and that would be the team total over at this point. I know it's steamed up for since open, and that kind of tells me that they're probably leaning towards Paul George playing, because I know George and Kawhi did not play in that first game that they faced each other in. So that would be the way that I go, is that Clippers team total over. Nothing on the spread, nothing on the full game total, but that just the team total. What are you guys' thoughts? What do you think about it?
So I think I know Munaf is aligned with me on we're leaning Clippers. The thing that makes it tough is you have to know what the Clippers are planning today, and that they're one of the hardest teams to always figure out as far as their injury report manipulation goes. But if Paul George is going to play, that tells you that this game matters to them. And they're so confusing, as this team can be so good and they just can't get it going right now.
Yeah.
Denver has it going right now, which makes it an even tougher play. The line is showing strength. It's a tough game to play, because if you take the Clippers, you want to get it at the 5 and you hope that Paul George plays. So if you can beat the bookies, that's great. But if you got to wait for Paul George, you're not going to get that 5. That's what makes it so tough. But it should be a good game if Paul George plays. I'll figure out throughout the day how I want to attack it. But I could only look at the Clippers here.
Yeah, the Clippers and the Heat are probably, like I mentioned it a lot too. Clippers and the Heat probably the 2 worst teams as far as how they manage the injury report, because they always have people on, and even if they don't have them on the injury report, they end up being out like the last 30 minutes. So definitely one of those games where you probably want to wait to see what happens here, because like I said, I think they moved the total up, assuming that Paul George is going to play, and if he doesn't play, that's going to shift the number down a lot. Munaf, I know you said you had a prop look on this one. What do you got?
Yeah, I like Nikola Jokic's rebounds here tonight, over 11.5. Trying to take a look at his history against the Clippers. He's gone over this number in, I think it's been 6 straight games where he's had 13 or more rebounds against the Clippers. So at 11.5, I thought that was a little conservative, and they are struggling to rebound the basketball. He's giving it up to the center position. So far on the season, they're allowing opposing centers to grab right around 14 rebounds per game. And we already know Jokic, as soon as he steps into a gym or any gym, he can fill the stat sheet and walk into a triple-double. So I didn't look at his points here tonight. I was more intrigued by his rebounds here tonight, especially like I mentioned, 6 straight games of 13 or more rebounds. So at 11.5, I thought that number was a little conservative. I think we have an edge there of at least 2 rebounds. So I went ahead and took the over 11.5 at -115 for Joker tonight.
Yeah, that's a good look. I mean, like you said, and even the triple double, it almost seems like that's in play with how the Clippers have been playing defense on the road.
Yeah.
Definitely a good look there. I think that is it as far as the 4-game slate today. Pretty quick show. I like it. Real quick though, I do want to make sure we go through the recap. Joey, let's start with you first. Any officials you want to drop or any comments you want to leave out with?
Yeah, give me the Celtics, man. And shout out to Jay. I know you're going to recap it. Give me the Celtics. all fashions, early and often.
You want trifecta with it?
I think I'm gonna get there. I mean, you got to come back after giving up 151 points to the Thunder. I mean, this is really going to show us what kind of team Boston is. If they're going to come out and play with some pride, or if they're going to fold. And give me Boston. The line is showing strength to Boston with the form that the Mavericks are in.
Yeah,
I like the Celtics today.
Yeah, and going back to Jay, he did pop in here for a few minutes. If you're coming in late, he did pop in here and drop his officials first quarter and first half for the Celtics here. Munaf, what do you got? Do you want to drop your officials here and any last comments as well?
No, I agree with you guys. I think I'm going to get there with the Celtics as well. I loved your look on the first quarter. I think they should come out with a strong defensive mentality here. After, like you mentioned, Joey mentioned as well, getting embarrassed by the Thunder in their previous game. I think Joey's right. I think we'll find out about this Boston Celtics team tonight and how they respond after giving up that many points to a team that was without their best player. So, yeah, I'll probably go with the trifecta with you guys talked about with Jay as well. Love the Jokic look tonight on his rebounds over 11.5. I'll throw that as an official play out there as well. So I like these short slates because we're able to get more detail.
Super detailed. Yeah, for sure,
about
man.
these games.
It's crazy.
Yeah, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, yeah, man, love doing the show with you as usual. So hopefully we can continue giving out winners.
Yeah. All right. So for me, the officials Magic, I did take +6 already earlier this morning. I know it's at -7, or I think it's actually come down since the Bain news. Let me double check that. It's back down to 6.5, but I did take it early when before the Bain news. And then the other thing is the Celtics first half. So I took the first half only. I didn't do the trifecta, but I can't talk you guys off. A lot of the things that we looked at already showed us that it should be a Celtics spot. But primarily I did stick with the Boston Celtics first half only. And then as far as like games that I want to look into a little bit further after the show, Rockets first half and then the Clippers team total over. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to the window with those, but like Muna said, man, these short slates, you get to into like deeper details, and that for some reason I feel like that's why I get more plays in these smaller slates than in the larger slates, because really you make your best decisions when you can focus in on a single game for a longer period of time. Yeah. And I think that's what happens in these smaller slates. And we had a good show yesterday, 4-1 for me, 4-1 overall over at Sportsmemo. Just ever since Christmas, I feel like I've been going on a little bit of a run here. So hopefully we just continue to bring that momentum into the new year, especially like just NBA, college basketball, and all that stuff. So hopefully we just keep winning ways here on Let's Cap, and hopefully the viewers get some good information, learn some new things on how we cap games. With that said, it is the end of the show here. I do want to make sure you guys hit the like, ask you to hit the like and subscribe button before you take off. Make sure you check out the descriptions as well in the bottom here, right under the video. And as always, I want to end with this. It's always on you guys to make the call. Whether you fade us or follow us, you're the one who is pushing the button to hit the bet in there. So fade or follow, it's on you to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time, peace.
Appreciate you guys.